Hi everyone! In celebration of Animal Crossing New Horizon being released, actually today as I'm doing the voiceover for this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to make 6 iconic Animal Crossing items out of felt. Before we get into things, I would like to quickly address that I'm still figuring out how my camera works, and when filming, everything seemed to be fine, but when editing and speeding up the clips, there are kind of some weird lines across the screen, and I hope it won't be too distracting, but hopefully next video this will all be fixed. Jumping right into things, first we're going to take the pattern, which there's a link to in the description down below, and start by cutting it up, separating it into the groupings of each individual item. There are a lot of pieces, and it probably would have helped if I had indicated the groupings a bit better on the pattern itself, so sorry about that, but I will be doing each one individually so you can see as you go. We're going to start off with an easy one, the Pitfall, or I guess officially it's called a Pitfall seed. For this, you're going to need red and white felt and a corresponding thread, or if you'd rather, you can use something like hot glue or fabric glue to put it together. Then cut out the pattern pieces and the felt pieces. Did anyone else hoard Pitfalls when playing Animal Crossing? I hoarded pretty much everything aside from actual trash and never had enough storage room when playing, but it was just my sister and I playing the game, so we would each have our main character and then we'd create a second account that was just for additional storage. But I mean, Pitfalls had a use. You could trap the villagers that you didn't like by digging kind of like a prison, and then the only way out you would fill with the pitfall traps. And trying to find a picture of this online, I realized that there were definitely a lot of other people who did this, so I feel like it might have just been a common thing that children tortured, villagers while playing this game. Okay, now once all your pieces are ready, you want to start off by stitching or hot gluing the exclamation marks onto each of the white circles. Then you stitch or hot glue the white circles together along the outer edge. I'm going to stuff mine with a bit of cotton because I'm actually making these into ornaments, but you can do whatever you want to. You can just leave it flat. But this one's pretty simple, and now you're done. Next, we're going to be making the iconic Animal Crossing leaf. Again, a pretty simple one. For this, all you need is green felt, thread if you choose to sew it together, or glue if not, and then either paint or embroidery thread for the details on the leaf itself. For the details, I'm going to show you first with embroidery thread. For this, we're going to be using a back stitch. You'll knot the one end of your thread, but not both ends together. The other end, you're just going to hold close to the needle when pulling through, just so you don't pull the needle off the thread itself. Start by poking the needle up through the underside of the felt, and then move backwards to create your first stitch. Then along the underside, you're going to move an equal stitch length past your starting point, come up through again, and then moving backwards, stitch back down through the felt, doing your best to keep in line with the previous stitch. I used a vanishing fabric marker to draw on my guidelines, using the pattern for reference. Alternatively, if you have no interest in doing any kind of stitching or embroidery, then you can just use a darker green paint for the same effect. Now this is where I realized that something wasn't quite right. I had made both the detail marks on the exact same side of the leaf, but they have to go back to back, so I just decided I would fix it later and keep going. Then, same as the pitfall seed, stitch or glue around the edges and stuff it if you wish. Next, we're going to be making a gyroid. For the gyroids, you're going to need a light and a dark brown felt. The steps are pretty similar to the previous two. You first sew or glue the face on. Then you're going to sandwich the arm pieces between the front and the back body pieces. And finish by sandwiching the top part of the body between the two hat-like pieces. Now moving on to the bell bag. For felt, you'll need a dark brown, a red, and for the bag itself, you could use a light brown, similar to the gyroid. You could use kind of a light yellow, or I ended up using more of an orangey brown felt. But again, the steps are pretty much the same as the last few. Next, on to the fossil. For this one, you're going to need a blue felt and a white felt. Now for the fossil, I decided just to paint on the details rather than doing any kind of stitching, mostly because it took me a good 4.5 hours to film all of it, and I thought I was finished when I realized I hadn't done the fossil yet. I didn't have a paint close enough to the color of the felt, so I just mixed blue, purple, and a teeny tiny bit of black until I had something close enough in color. And lastly, a balloon present. You're going to need white and red felt, embroidery thread or string, and white paint. This one I would say is the most complicated, honestly only because you have to cut out so many tiny pieces. I first cut out all the white pieces, the larger of the two little circle patterns to be cut out in white, and then I cut out all the red pieces. I used white paint to make the present look more like a cube, using the red felt pieces lining it up for reference of where exactly I wanted to place the lines. And now, as I assemble, because the number of pieces for my sanity, I am just going to use glue. And congratulations, you are all done! I hope you all enjoyed this video. I forced myself to finish it before I could go buy New Horizons, so now that I'm done, I'm going to go buy it and give up the next few months of my life to the game. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you next video. Bye!